I don't even know what the Elite Four are.
Well, you know there's 4 of them, and they're probably elite.
They're pretty good, is what I've heard.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I mean, I don't know anyone who actually lost to them, to be honest.
I think we're back on. Someone have a look on the channel and just see if the video has started, because that was a bit of a shame. I think we had viewers and they've just disappeared.
Yep, we got it.
We're good. Okay, let's start again.
We have one watching apparently, but I don't know if that's one of us.
Okay, fair enough. Well, welcome everybody. Apologies for that bit of confusion. I clearly am not very professional. My name is CraftyGG, and this is Roll for Discussion. And I just realised I had that playing in the background. This is a small podcast where myself and a few others attempt to have discussions about the popular tabletop role-playing game that is Dungeons & Dragons. And joining me tonight, I have Jsan, Chadstick, and Peter. We did already just do all the introductions, and there you can probably find that on a 2-minute stream that is going on somewhere else on this channel. But we're going to do it again. Jsan, welcome tonight.
Welcome. I'm not going to go through the whole little intro thing I did earlier because it was perfect the first time. So I'll just say welcome and go subscribe to my channel. There, I'm going to hijack your stream for my own nefarious purposes now.
Yep, you go ahead and do that, bud. Chadstick, welcome, buddy.
Hey, I'd like to thank you for having me back on after not letting me join for a couple of weeks because you were worried about what I'd bring. And I just want to confirm to all the viewers that Jsan is the only one here wearing clothes, and there are definitely no screaming children in the background of any of our calls. Thank you very much.
Out of context, this is messed up. Right, thank you. And finally, we are joined by our resident rules lawyer, Peter. Good evening, sir.
Hiya, that's me, the resident rules lawyer, and the third member of the Elite Four. Thank you very much. Anyone got any weird facts or anything? Stick them in the comments. I'm always looking to learn new stuff. So yeah,
That's true.
I want to know which Pokemon is a legal type.
I learned that sea cucumbers can like expel their organs through their butthole.
What?
Sorry?
Yeah, I learned that on a video the other night.
I don't know if I'm more impressed by the fact that they can expel their organs or that sea cucumbers have a butthole. Wait, or is sea cucumbers just a name for like an animal?
Yes, it's an animal.
Okay, I thought you just meant like cucumbers that grow in the water.
You've never heard of a sea cucumber before?
No. Should I have? Google. I'm gonna.
don't know.
One sec. I'm gonna Google this.
While Pete does that, I'll just take this opportunity to welcome our viewers.
This is actually going to be the biggest bait ever. It's just going to be some really NSFW stuff. That's what this is going to be. Oh, okay. No, okay. It wasn't. It's okay. All right. It's just a big old slug, basically.
Yeah. We'll say
Weird.
to the viewers at home, while you're watching, if you have any topic suggestions that you would like us to cover in a future podcast, please drop them down in the comments below. If you have any input that you want to give while we're chatting away, again, just drop a comment down below. We'll be reading them out as we go along. We also have a quiz that we do at the end of each of these podcasts, so if you want to get involved in that, feel free to do so as well. We've already had a comment come through. Sion, hello, buddy. Hey, I can't watch tonight because it's my little brother's birthday. Sorry, not a problem, buddy. Thanks for coming in just to let us know. Happy birthday to your little brother.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dude.
Sion here is one of my followers for when I do Pokemon streaming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which clips of which can all be found on CraftyGG's channel. Go check it out.
I've learned more about Pokemon from your streams than my whole life, because I don't know if I've told you before, I grew up thinking that Pokemon got their power from the devil, so...
So you played Dungeons & Dragons instead?
No, not until I got into college.
Oh, okay.
I didn't watch Harry Potter until I was 15.
Wow.
Man, Jason.
Jesus, dude. I thought my parents
I
were
know how
quite...
all of you guys across the pond love your Harry Potter and whatnot.
We do.
Well, we don't anymore. We're not allowed to anymore.
Not to anymore.
There is a bit of controversy going around there. But
Is that our next topic of conversation?
That's for the more hardcore out of hours kind of podcast that when I'm ready to be cancelled, we're sure we'll go into those discussions.
Chadstick speaks about it endlessly. Constantly brings it up.
Yeah,
I've got
bring it up
ammo
as many
now.
times as I can.
But I will tell you what we are going to be going into right now is This Week as a Geek. So for those who don't know, that is where each of us are going to go around the table and explain what we've been getting up to over the last week as a geek. So it might not necessarily be Dungeons and Dragons, it could be something else. And we'll start off with Jsan Pizza Man.
Yeah, so, one thing is I finally came back to my channel, like, I'm starting to, like, stream again, but, I guess, like, an even bigger thing is, I am back in theater. I guess, does that count as a geek thing?
Yes, do
Okay.
tell.
So I've been involved in theater since, like, middle or high school. Yeah, high school. And, I have, other than like one church play that I wrote and acted in, I haven't been in like an official play in since college, where I played a 6-year-old. Why they would do a play that requires college students to act like 6-year-olds, I don't know. I didn't pick the plays, but last night was opening night for my play called Clown Car, in which I play a clown. I play 2 clowns actually, and believe it or not, one of them is actually British.
Ooh, British
Do you
clown.
have a
Whoa!
You have-
I'm blown away. I'm overwhelmed.
Do you? Okay, I have 2 questions. Do you have a British accent?
Yes, I do.
And do you have a favourite line that the British clown has to say?
Oh dang, that's a tough one. Perhaps it's like I do have a monologue. It's like, clowns are the best people in the world. We make the world a better place. Without clowns, children will never have a good birthday party.
Okay,
I have,
okay,
like,
that's
a
not too
whole-
bad. That's not too
That's
bad.
pretty good.
Right?
Also, Bubba Wolf wants us to skip you. Just putting that out there.
Welcome,
thank you,
Bubba Wolf.
Bubba, congratulations for finally passing me. I will say, Bubba, you put in the work more than I do, so I'll admit you deserve it.
Wait,
Fine.
You heard it here first, folks. He's finally admitted defeat. Bubba,
Oh, okay, but
clip
now-
that, Bubba, before this
No.
live stream gets taken down.
No, Crafty's now found this AI thing that can make people say whatever they want. So you don't know if this is really me talking. This could just be Crafty trying to make you look
Crafty's typing away this entire conversation. All of us are actually just Crafty typing on a screen.
You
Yeah,
joke
we're
you
different
joke about it.
manifestations of his subconscious.
You joke about it, but one day it could happen.
Yeah, Crafty will put a message in like, "Hey, if you've committed to being on this podcast and don't turn up, I'm controlling your voice for the session." So
Yeah, people would know if it wasn't me because I'd start agreeing with them and saying nice things.
Every now and then I have to throw a little insult in, or it'd be like a contradiction or something like that. It'd be like, oh, okay, maybe
I
that
don't
is it."
insult or contradict you. I just make life difficult for you.
Oh, that's true, very true. But that's why we like you have it. That's why I like having you here, buddy. Jsan, thank you very much. Is there anything else you're up to?
Not really. After the play gets over with, I'm going to continue my D&D campaign, where we last left off. Someone got polymorphed into a goat and fell out of a tree. So we'll see what happens when we come back.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Jsan. Chaddick, what about yourself, buddy? What have you been up to this week?
I 2 things really. One, I'm training to be a specialist history teacher, which is pretty nerdy, but I love it. And I've been doing a lot. I've got to write an essay on about how to teach history, and that's about as nerdy as it comes. But I also finally got to do a session for my D&D group that's still going, and that was fun. 3 of them had to cancel at the last minute for various reasons, which were all justified. But they are probably not watching this, so I can talk about it at the moment. And they're They've set themselves up for a very interesting turnabout, and I cannot wait for the twist to happen.
Fantastic. Please tell us more about it once you've had these sessions. And finally, Peter, what about yourself, sir?
I've been getting back into Warhammer 40k, if people know what that is. You get models and you fight things. I'm getting my Tyranid army together. I put some more models together today. Cut my thumb a couple times, but all part of the learning curve.
You gotta bleed for these games sometimes.
Got to bleed for what you love, or what's the point? The more you bleed, the more you love it.
You're paying the iron price.
That is not a healthy way. Nerd. Yes.
That's kind of the point, isn't it? That's why we're here talking about D&D.
Nobody realised we were nerds until we started talking about the podcast was not enough evidence.
Yeah, and it wasn't me talking about 40k for the last however many episodes. It's when someone else did it as well. That's when we crossed the line.
Wait, were you?
Yeah.
How did I miss that? What army do you do?
Currently Sisters of Battle, but I do still have my Drakari. I'm having more fun with the Sisters of Battle, even though they're not. I don't think the Codex is quite as good. The Drakari, if you play it competitively, is probably better, but it makes the game very unenjoyable for the other person, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I've had stuff like that with other games.
I'd be interested if you want to DM me what you've got in your army and stuff. I'd be interested to chat about it.
I mean, I'm pretty low, but yeah, I'll send you what I've got so far. I bought a bunch of models like 10-ish years ago, made them, so some of them are built slightly illegally now, but I'll send you what I built one that's got massive ass claws, and then I found out that's not really a thing anymore. So it's like, oh, cool. So I'll let you know what I've got, and you can tell me how much I've screwed up. But
it's just modeling differences.
Indeed. But yeah, that's been my nerding.
Thank you very much. And then I'll wrap this part up with myself. So for the last week, I've been getting quite into my streaming for games. Most recently, it's going to be Pokemon. I've just completed a Fire Red Nuzlocke challenge. I won't say how well it went. You'll have to go out and watch it yourself. But one of my viewers is in the chat at the moment, Jsan. Wanted to know, is Soul Silver in 10 or 9 days? I believe it's 9 days. It'll be not Monday coming, the following Monday. I'll be starting on to the next one there. But yeah, I've been really getting back into the old school Pokemon. I'm just going to start up on my Final Fantasy X playthrough as well, and I'm going to be doing something else Pokemon related that I'm working on, a collaboration with another YouTuber. We'll be doing what's called a Soul Lock, which from what I've been told is an extremely difficult challenge to take part in. So I'll be posting more about that in the weeks to come. But other than that is pretty much me done. This for Week in the Geek, as the streaming is definitely taking up most of my free time. So that has been This Week as a Geek. And now, gentlemen, we'll move on to our main topic, monsters. Now, this is a little bit broad. What do we mean by monsters? Specifically, we're talking about what kind of enemies that you could face in D&D. And there's no specific subject when we're talking about monsters. We're going to just, bit of generalized thing. We're going to talk about maybe what sort of monsters you could be facing early parts of the campaign. So maybe some suggestions of what you could face right at the end, like your big bad. We'll reminisce maybe on some of our favourites that we've encountered, ones that we'd be looking forward to coming up against, ones that we probably would never want to come up against, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start off with something nice and easy. I'd say, guys, I'd like you to tell me what is your favourite D&D monster that you have encountered and why. I'll start off with our rules lawyer, Pete.
I'm really partial to the phase spider.
The phase
people
spider?
know the phase spider?
I don't think I've heard of this one.
No, do tell.
In the book, there's a picture of it in the monster manual, and it's basically this like white, mostly white with like little bits of blue on it, spider, big boy. But it's called the phase spider because it has the ability to phase in and out of the ethereal plane.
Oh. Oh,
So
phase
it, like,
spider. I thought you said phase
phase.
spider.
I heard phase spider.
Oh,
I've
my bad.
encountered phase spiders, but
Phase
I-
spider.
yeah.
I love it. I think it's really cool, and I used it against a party of mine once, and it was brutal. Because you're like, oh, we're safe. Oh no, we're surrounded. Cool. Good times.
Does this thing have the ability like to like make multiple versions or something of itself, or is it just a case?
No, just phasing in and out of planes. So it enters the ethereal plane.
Yeah.
So it can kind of like see you. Almost, I kind of think, you know, Lord of the Rings, where he's put on the ring and he can kind of see the world, but he's invisible to everything else. That's what it's like. Phase spider. Does he play for their Call of Duty team?
What does he?
Yes, he does, but he's not an official member on their
so
lineup
mad.
at the moment. He's
God
just going
damn it.
through the preliminary trials for their junior team.
What about you, Chad? You got a favourite?
Can you come back to me, because I've been a GM for an awfully long time, and I need to think about
Too many.
No problem.
I need to remember like what I came across as a player. So can you come back to me?
Yeah, sure. Okay, Jsan, how about yourself? Have you got a favourite monster that you have encountered?
As a player or a GM?
Well, basically just as a favourite. So I mean, it could be either or. So if you can think of one for a player or as a GM, which one would you say probably stands out the better?
I really liked the dragon turtle that I brought out. It was in my first time running a campaign, and Crafty was in this one, and I believe this is where we actually left the campaign off and never picked it back up. I really liked bringing out that dragon turtle. I was like, there's a monster like out there in the deep, and it's been attacking ships and whatever. And I was holding on to this thing for so long. I even, I think I've mentioned on here before, I have a 3D printer, and I like to 3D print my minis. This thing was so big, I had to print it in sections and then piece it together. I was super thrilled to throw this at them. And I think in the last video, I mentioned that, it was Crafty mentioned that I gave them this cactus that could bring someone back to life.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon turtle killed someone with one hit. And I was like, so they had to immediately use the cactus on them. Somehow, though, this party of like what level were you?
We were like level 4 or 5.
Yeah, they
What?
managed to beat this thing because I gave them way too much, and that can be a topic for another episode. Giving your players too much, because they had a tamed wyvern, they had a ship with weapons, like 4 other crewmates on the ship, and they managed to kill the dragon turtle. And I was honestly a little shocked that they did, but I don't know. I just that monster, when I was like looking through the I can't remember if I saw it for the first time in the monster manual or if I saw a video on it, but I'm just like, that is such a cool concept, like a dragon turtle. I guess it's like Bowser basically, but a water Bowser. Excuse me, but yeah, that's one that really stands out to me, and I still have that mini somewhere. I still got to paint it, but yeah, that's one that stands out to me.
I will say for clarification, so most of the damage that we did to it was from, I believe, like the cannons on the ship, and it was
the wyvern.
And the wyvern did a lot. My character, I'd managed to jump on top of it to avoid it attacking me. So I was doing a lot of damage on top without having like much interference in the way. And I think you were rolling for like what the dragon turtle was attacking, and a lot of the time it was attacking the ship. So we got quite lucky. It was only when it would do, it had that special move, didn't it, when it like recharged, and it was like this steam or something. And I mean,
that's what killed Schnitzel.
Yeah,
he was in that.
It kind of took like the entire team out, almost like the entire team. Like it's just like one or two. I think my character was still like just standing, and there was like someone else dropped, and it was all a bit nuts. Luckily, we were able to do a bit of healing and stuff, and then like one character was like just flat out gone.
I think I've I think I've said to you before, Crafty, that like I think you're saying I've gave my party too much stuff, but I think I've said to Crafty before like it's actually a really cool way of letting your party fight more powerful monsters is by sticking them on a vehicle of some kind that has weapons that they can use. So, like by giving them cannons, by giving them turrets, you enable them to fight monsters that they wouldn't be able to touch if they were just using sword and some spells.
Oh yeah, if this had been
Giving them a dragon is definitely a level. I didn't realize you were level 4 when you tamed the dragon. That's definitely a choice.
we might not even have been level 4 at the time. There was only like 3 of us taming this wyvern, and I'm pretty certain at least 2 of us were level 3. Like
What challenge rating was the wyvern?
Jsan, I don't remember this one.
I don't remember.
It was. I think it might be like an 8 or something. I don't think it's like.
Was it just called a wyvern?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if is looking in the monster manual going to be a problem, Crafty?
No, go on. You go ahead and do that.
Do you mind needing to learn things?
That's all right. I'm googling it now.
It's challenge 6.
Challenge 6. Okay, so not
Where is my monster manual?
hugely.
It's only got AC 13. It's got like a bundle of hit points, but with AC 13, it's actually pretty easy to hit for a middlingly optimized party.
My monster manual's not in my. Oh nope, there it is. I'll see it. One sec.
Well, while he,
But also keep in mind one of our players lost a hand to it too. So
that is true. That was pretty good.
and Dragon Turtle is challenge rating 17.
Yeah, that's a big boy, the dragon turtle.
Yeah.
That's why I was. Yeah, I mean, okay, but like challenge ratings. So a wyvern isn't too bad. I was thinking. I think I said it dragon a couple times. I was thinking you let them tame like a dragon, and that would have been that would have been a lot.
I will say the last game, second to last game I played, he said make your character level 15. I'm like, okay, so I was my turtle bard, and we came across this room full of baby dragons. I'm like, I summoned a cloud and incinerated pretty much all of them. So.
Oh, you talent. That's where the screaming children came
I
into
was
play.
going to say, I clarified earlier on. There are no longer any screaming children because Jsan has killed them all.
Well, yeah, Jason, you kind of stole my favourite. My one was going to be the Dragon Turtle. As a player, is the one I've probably enjoyed the most, like going up against, because I think a lot of it was more like the build up to it. Because I mean, you had dropped like hints and stuff, but none of us had worked it out, and it wasn't until we literally saw the thing, it was just all like, oh, we're dead. We are so dead. And but yeah, that was definitely my absolute favorite. But if I had to pick something else, I'd probably go to them when I was a DM, and I'll say it's the Mind Flare, using that guy. Just some of the it's just some of the moves that I've managed to get the party to encounter it a couple of times, and so but I made like some tweaks to it, so that it was a case of it wasn't going to effectively one-shot them at the time that they originally fought it, but at the same time it wasn't like it was going to be too easy. But I definitely enjoyed. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's the the AOE move that could just mess everyone up. And just the fact that I think it was like there was 3 or 4 characters is like they've got to keep rolling at the turn to see. It's like, right, can I actually do something? It's like, no, I can't. And it just adds so much tension to the fight, because you've only got like 2 or 3 people that can actually do anything at this point. Everyone else
was
just
it
sort
a
of
wisdom save or a charisma save? I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was wisdom.
I think it might have been, because I was like, I'm pretty comfortable with that. But you had people with like -2 wisdom in the party, like. Cool. Like literally didn't move the entire combat, and it was like, if we need to run, we have a problem right now. Like some of them can't take actions.
It's something I quite like with when it comes to monsters. So I'll get back to it in just a sec. Chadstick, have you had a thought about your favourite?
Yes, I should also clarify as well. I'm not trying to show off that I know so many monsters, because it's actually the opposite. Most of the stuff I GM, in fact, all of it is homebrew. So all of my monsters, I don't use the monster manual because I'm edgy like that, or lazy. and it's much easier for me to kind of just invent stuff.
One of the two.
And it helps. It means that players can have cool encounters with monsters at a lower level. So like, I don't have to go looking for the stats for a half-maimed, crippled Hydra, that's had 3 of its heads seared off.
Mm-hmm.
I can make those up. So, my favourite official monster would be I encountered it while playing Icewind Dale 2, which is an old 3rd edition port. Well, I mean, it's from the Baldur's Gate series. It's set in the same world, uses the same system. It's a crystal golem, and the reason it's one of my favourites is because me and my 2 brothers were playing through the campaign. I was a mage. One of my other brothers was a slightly different mage, and we were having competitions about who could do the most damage. And then my youngest brother, bless him, was or will always be, I think, a paladin. And he loves his big 2-handed axe weapons. So we were going along, and we were basically killing everything because the 2 mages had tons. We were an over-leveled arsenal of magical artillery. And Matt basically had resistance to all of the elements, so we couldn't hurt him with AoEs. It was great. And then we encountered this crystal golem, which was immune to magic and resistant to all forms of damage apart from bludgeoning. And we couldn't deal with it. So I remember we literally ran around this dungeon kiting it with the 2 mages using slings. And the paladin desperately trying to tank its hits and not having a great time. And it was actually really fun to struggle. It sounds horrendous, but I just remember and then we lost track of it. I remember we lost track of it for a while, and we had to find it again. And it was a game of cat and mouse, where the mouse was this giant, 10-foot tall, invincible golem. And if one of the mages found it, it was just run screaming.
Wait, I gotta add. What does a golem scream sound like?
Oh no, it was the mages screaming.
Oh. Okay,
the only noise the golem made was like the crushing sound of bones as it punched people.
Oh my goodness!
It was utterly silent apart from its heavy footfalls, which you couldn't hear unless it was on screen because the game didn't have atmospheric sound processing like that.
Wait, what game was this? What?
Icewind Dale 2.
I have no idea what this is.
Oh, so you've heard of Baldur's Gate?
Yes.
Have you heard of the game Baldur's Gate?
Yes, I think I've heard of it. Yeah. It's
okay, well, it's one of the best. It's just basically an electronic version of a campaign for D&D.
Okay.
It's 2nd edition, but it's very good. The storyline's fantastic. It captures the concept of a D&D campaign really well. Like, it's completely open world. And part of the problem is it's completely open world, so you don't really know where you're meant to be going, and you can stumble into high-level areas. I remember I ran into the council of the Red Wizards as they were having some meeting about whether or not they were going to blow up a rival group of sorcerers, and our paladin in the party said, "No, you can't do that," and then we got annihilated because they were all level 9 and we were level 2. We were really young. We didn't know what we were doing. But Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Arm, Throne of Baal, and the Icewind Dale games, they're really good. You can get them on Good Old Games fairly cheaply. I'm sure you can get them on CD keys as well. They might even be on Steam. But Baldur's Gate 3 has come out. It's made by Larian Studios. It sounds like I'm a corporate shill again. What a shame. Larian, hire me, because I can help with your story writing. Larian Studios made the really good Divinity Original Sin series.
Yeah.
And they got the license from Wizards to do Baldur's Gate 3. And I've played through it's in open access at the moment. It's for full price because open access games are always full price. I've played through some of it, but my brothers and I have stopped because we wait for the whole campaign to come out. Because at the moment it's level capped and they haven't got all the classes. But very good, and I highly recommend the other games because you can pick them up cheaply. They're really fun. But yeah, it's that was my favourite monster. I guess the favourite official monster I've ever fought.
Nice. Well,
cool.
It does. So something about what some guys were mentioning does make me think about something when it comes to monsters. So when I first started out with D&D, my understanding of everything was obviously quite limited on what actually went around in the game. I used to just think of it in like I did with when I used to play like things like Final Fantasy stuff. A lot of the time, not so much on the tactics, more just like, you know, just a bit of a hack and slash. Just keep hitting it over and over again, and eventually it will go down. And I came to realize quite quickly it's just one that's not always a solid tactic. If you're going up against like goblins or skeletons or whatnot, yeah, it's pretty easy enough. But when you're coming across something else, I quite like the fact that there would be there'll be something else more to a monster than just simple hit points. Like if it's got resistances to like magical weapons, or like it's vulnerable to fire magic and that sort of thing, and then trying to work out like what it is. Like in the battle, you're trying to work it out between yourselves what you're going to need to actually take it down. It's not just going to be a case of you're just going to have your barbarian just go up and just keep whacking it with the great axe. So, like, what would you guys say when it comes to some of the monsters that you've encountered, or ones that maybe that you've looked up? Would you say is some of the more interesting, I don't know what you call it, dynamics, abilities, capabilities, whatever it is, that you'd say, you know, that's something that you really like in a monster if you were going to like put one together for your players to come up against?
There was one. I want to say it was a wraith. But there was one monster I saw where I think it had the ability to take away experience points.
What? Really?
Yeah. I can Google it real quick just because I'm curious as to what this was.
It's an old trait of the undead. Vampires used to have an ability called level drain, where if they bit you, you would lose levels in the middle of a fight, and you'd have to pay a lot of money to get those levels back.
So yeah, go on, you carry on.
Oh yeah, and so basically, whenever people fought a vampire previously, it's a second edition. Yeah, you'd have to be like, and if you didn't know it was going to happen, like I think more experienced players would be like, we're not ready for this. We cannot deal with it. We don't have the money to recover. We're just going to leave the vampire alone. And I think that's a good way of making an enemy scary. Because a lot of D&D players are very blasé. Like you said, they'll go and hit it with their axe if all else fails until it doesn't work. Not many D&D parties will run away. And especially when more players are more experienced, a lot of them will metagame even unconsciously, and it makes it easier for them to deal with these harder things, like they know trolls, they need fire or acid, etc., etc. But if they know that something's got a direct threat to something that they previously didn't think they could lose, it becomes much more threatening to them.
And I find that's a really fascinating feature to have for a monster. I mean, something that could get your hit points down, or maybe give you like a level of exhaustion or something. Yeah, you know, obviously in the immediate effect that's quite bad. But the level losing levels, I'm trying to even get my head around like how'd that even play out? Like, because obviously once you're leveling up, you know, things are increasing on your character sheet. You might be getting a new feat, or addition to your modifiers, of course, increase hit points. Does that effect like immediately happen? Like once that level drops down, do you have to stop the game for a minute and go, right, hold on a minute, I've got to update my character sheet? Or is it a case of like how exactly would something like that play out?
So you immediately lose max hit points. So not current hit points, you'll lose max hit points. So usually the vampires hit you probably for a fair chunk, because it's a vampire, and only the higher level vampires or the bigger ones could do the level drain. So you'd be losing permanent hit points or max hit points, but you'd already lost them, so it wouldn't lower your health again unless it lowered your health below what you were currently on.
Right.
You'd lose spell slots, you'd lose traits, abilities, feats. The best thing that you could do is basically, once you realized you were going to get level drained, is probably run away. Or if you were ready for it, like, because high level clerics can cast spells that will, like Greater Restoration would cure it and things. So there were things you could do in the battle as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty horrible. And the thing is, like, once you get level drained, you're in literally a much worse objective position to deal with that situation. So you're likely to get level drained again, even if you try to run away. So it's got this increasing threat to you because if you couldn't defend yourself in the first place, once you've lost some of your abilities, you're damn well not going to be able to defend yourself afterwards. It's very scary.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting thing to add in for a monster. I mean, I can especially as well as depending on the DM, if they're doing their leveling up through XP or milestone. If it was milestone, you could probably sort out a side quest or something that we can get your levels back. If you couldn't, like you said, you couldn't afford to pay it off, or you couldn't heal it back, or what have you. But if it was like XP, I think we've mentioned this before in a previous podcast, like how long it could be with XP just to get to your next level, like how many different types of monsters and stuff you could end up fighting just to get that initial the initial numbers in. Just it's like something like that. I could like Jsan, like when we did your campaign, it was all done through XP. That's one of the reasons why by the time we got to that last point, we were only like levels 4 and 5, is because we weren't gaining enough XP to get high level. We would have to be fighting really big stuff or hundreds of smaller things so many times just to gain all that XP in.
To be fair, I was making it up as I went along, so milestone really wouldn't have been a good idea. I didn't know what we were gonna do next.
True, but my point though is that I think with milestone you'd probably be in a better situation if you had a campaign that was XP based and you had a monster that could drain your levels. Like that for me, I even if I was like this like hulking great big like barbarian stuff, I'd just be like, "Woo!" I'm off. you couldn't see me.
It doesn't scare the character, but it scares the player because their character gets damaged in a way that's hard to repair, and they don't want to risk that. Like losing hit points is one thing. Like you can lose them any day of the week. It's not like the Warhammer RPG where losing hit points meant you lost limbs. You just drink a potion and you're better. Losing levels, God, you spent years, weeks of your life getting those levels. Real life.
Yeah, what kind of monster in a D&D campaign would make you lose limbs potentially? Jesus, yeah.
Well, I might be that monster.
Oh, I think Crafty is also that monster. Just
I see you are a GM of taste and sophistication as well, bro. I did warn my players first as well. Like it happened to an NPC.
Now we're 15 sessions in, and Crafty's now dropped it on us.
Yeah.
It's fun times ahead. It's all good. But no, I just say getting back to that is definitely for me that would, if I had to like rank their abilities and stuff, losing levels I think is going to be it would be a top 3 sort of thing. Pete, Jsan, either of you got any?
I like one which is sort of similar, which is the Ghost, which has an ability called Horrifying Visage, which you can be aged by 1d4 times 10 years.
Whoa.
Oh, that's tasty.
So I like that for several reasons. Partly because I think it's funny that you could just be aged immensely. It's also that after within 24 hours, it can be fixed with Greater Restoration. After that, it's permanent.
Really?
And then, and then one sec, I found the book to make sure I was getting everything right. So, I think it can be repeated if you don't succeed on a saving throw. I think it can be repeated in one fight, so you can be aged more. I'd have to check that, but yeah. But what makes this real fun and dangerous is character races with a short lifespan.
I was going to ask.
That's not. I'm thinking Kobold in Crafty's campaign coming up soon. Let's not.
Yeah, what is a Kobold?
In his head.
What is a Kobold lifespan? I was trying to think what the shortest.
The average lifespan is about 25 years, which is 5 years less than a goblin.
So they can live up to 120 years, but they rarely do. Apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can technically live longer, but bless them, kobolds aren't the best at self-preservation.
So goblins apparently have a lifespan of about 60 to 50 years. I don't know if there's got to be one shorter out there somewhere, but I can't be asked to keep looking.
So,
but I just kind of, if you decide, you know what, I think it would be fun to play an elderly goblin. I think that would be hilarious. Let's do that. And then your DM throws a ghost at you, and you age 40 years. If the DM is a dick, then you might just age to death right there in the middle of the fight. And I think that's hilarious.
I need to let you know, Pete, and everybody listening, that I thought this was the case. Orcs live around 40 years.
Oh my god, what? Is that orcs or half-orcs?
Orcs.
So, yeah. So
if you want to kill off that orc barbarian that's causing you so much problem,
age him.
Just roll a 4.
Now, here's a fun homebrew thing that you could use with that, because I'd never heard of that. What you could do is, like, roll a, I don't know, I think make D2s or whatever. But either way to get like a 50-50 chance.
Flip a coin?
You can make it a 50-50 chance to actually age them backwards.
I think there's something. I know there's something which does that. I don't know if it's a magic item or a curse or something, another creature.
But you could end up having like a toddler come with you, or if you're like one of my go-to characters is a turtle. I don't know. The party has to carry around an egg with them. I mean, you're literally playing the game as an egg.
So there used to be in 3rd edition and Pathfinder, you could play older or younger characters, but if you were outside the optimal adventuring age range for your race, your stats were modified. So if you were older, your physical stats degraded, but your mental stats increased, and vice versa. So if you wanted to customize that a bit more to represent the aging, you age them, and then they get, because that's what happens when you age, you get physically weaker. So if you want other scary stuff to happen, a tribute modification.
So you're not only going to put them closer to death by aging, you're going to reduce their stats as well. Enjoy that, ladies and gentlemen.
My friend, when I get to GM a campaign for experienced players who are like, you know what, hit us with anything, there's going to be some weird stuff.
I'm so like indecisive because I get really attached to my characters. Like I get so invested, but I would definitely one day like to just get into a campaign where I'm like, there's a high chance my character could die, and I'm so down. Just like. So it's like nerve-wracking kind of fighting. I'm down for that at some point, but it stresses me out.
Have you heard of the campaign system called Call of Cthulhu?
I've heard of it, yes.
Where you have an average hit point level of 9, and if you get hit around the face by a particularly strong person, they can do 7 damage, which is enough to cause you permanent trauma in the system.
Oh wow!
And in the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay game, Warfare, when you took damage, you had to roll each and every time in case you lost limbs or fingers.
Really?
And it's famous for having level 1 parties who get TPK'd because they just cannot continue because they've lost too many limbs.
Wow. That's something I think I would like to try out at some point, because I've heard of Cthulhu games before, but I'm not sure if I don't think I've ever. Although actually saying that, Chaz, I think at one point I was around yours a few years back, and we played something that was like Cthulhu based. I'm sure of it. It might have been with Steely.
Yeah, probably. Steely's down for it. Sometime I'll do it for the channel. I'll do like a Cthulhu one shot.
Yeah. Heck yeah! I tell you, I mean, we're only in February, but you know, October's not too far, really, in given scheme of things.
I'm not going to wait that long.
All right, then we'll do
It'll
it
happen
soon.
at Easter.
Well, all right, we'll do a recording then, and then.
Yeah. But it's a very different
October
campaign
come from?
setting
What?
because
Why October?
Halloween,
Halloween.
like horror sort of more thing.
Oh, okay. My brain was like, is there a reason we're waiting till October to play? Did we miss a thing? Are we real busy over this?
I'm a master at procrastination.
But yeah, like when I've played Cthulhu campaigns, we've done like our utmost to avoid one of my favorite campaigns of all time was a Cthulhu campaign where I had played in one before, and I'd made this super efficient, optimized character, and just as a bit of forewarning, this means you're very good at finding out what the plot is, and that's not necessarily a good thing in Cthulhu. So in the next one, I decided essentially my perception was going to be as low as possible. So I left it at base, and one of the other guys hadn't played in any role-play games before, but he knew I'd had some experience with the system, so he looked at my sheet and decided to copy me. So we both had basically a 25% chance of spotting things when we were told to spot hidden. And we didn't for most of the campaign. We never saw any of the plot hooks or anything, so we just role-played that, oh no, what can we do? And it was a little bit of metagaming, but not in the normal way. And we played a lot of bridge. We got involved in an international bridge tournament, which was a trap by the GM, cleverly laid, because every time we wanted to avoid the plot, we had a third-party member who had really high spot hidden, but also like his credibility was really low. So even though we were his friends, we were like, sure, whatever you say, Joe. There's weird that our neighbor came home carrying a child's hand in his shopping bag. Of course that happened. And neither of us saw it, so we'd be like, no, absolutely not. Our weird artist friend is having a moment again. He's being creative. So it was a super fun campaign. And we spent a lot of the time... We retconned one combat that one of our friends started. And he got really upset that we didn't join him when he started a bar fight, but we were like, we're not starting a bar fight. We value our lives. And yeah, so compared with that, so this is one of my problems with D&D actually. To segue us back, sorry. D&D, like your hit points means basically nothing. Like if you've got 100 hit points and you get hit for 30, it doesn't really, it's an impressive amount of damage. So I usually, in my head, what I try to do as a GM, spin it in that it's like blows are getting close, you're losing your plot armor effectively instead of hit points. But other systems represent hit points in a more permanent and threatener.
Okay, it's quite an interesting thing, and it definitely it is something that I would definitely like to try, and we could do that for the channel at some point and play a bit of one of these Cthulhu role-playing games. But to get back to monster like abilities and stuff, Jsan, did you have any in particular that you can think of that sort of stands out that you quite like?
Well, I had the one where they drain XP.
Oh, sorry, he was the drain XP. Who's the one who hasn't had one yet? Was it Peter?
Oh, you did the aging one.
And Chad Stick was the level.
No,
he was the level. Chad Stick, did you have
I just had a lot to talk about. I'll be quick. My favourite one. Can I choose one that I've designed myself? I think it's a good mechanic.
Oh, homebrew stuff, definitely. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so like I said, I homebrew most of my stuff through convenience is the word I'm going to use. Genius, laziness combined. So I, in one of my campaigns, there were these two Sphinx Guardians outside the main gates to the big bad evil guys fortress. And I was like, oh my god, I'm going to completely overpower these. And then because they're sphinxes, they're going to ask riddles of each of the individual characters. And for each riddle their characters get right, the sphinxes lost hit points.
Okay.
And I came up with a bunch of riddles. And the characters thought they were really clever for solving them, but they were not. I'll be honest. I mean, you have to make them simple, right? So the character, because one of my friends said he's not a fan of, he prefers when characters are tested, not players. And when you set something like a riddle or a puzzle challenge, you're challenging the player, and they're not there to do it themselves necessarily. They want to do it through their character. So the riddles were a gambit, but it was really fun. And then these sphinxes, so they lost maximum hit points, and the fight is not easy, but less threatening if you pass all the ones. But I after the first time it was too easy, so I kind of upped it. It's the campaign I've done a couple of times because I'm trying to refine it. Now that the OGL is back in action, I might actually publish it. But yeah, so now they've got a huge amount of hit points so that the fight's actually interesting if you pass all the riddles. On the downside, if you don't pass the riddles, these two sphinxes will probably eat you for breakfast. And then they've got this cool... So breath attacks are normally dexterity saving throws, but the breath attack I gave the sphinxes, I was like, no, it's a wisdom saving throw, because they just stream this confusing, like, wave of nonsense at you, and you have to pass a wisdom saving throw to do it, and it makes characters, have to think and respond differently to events, and that's what I like about combat. It's when you have to think about it. There's not just one threat. You've got to think about 2 or 3 at the same time.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Because I have found in some scenarios, some combat scenarios where it's gotten to the point maybe where you're hacking and slashing at like one monster. Everyone's pretty much used up all their abilities and stuff, and it's just a simple case now we're just whittling down this HP, and you sort of sitting there and it's just, you wait for your turn to be like, yes, I hit, and yep, that's me done, and then you just sit there for another 5 minutes while someone else does the same thing. I quite like the idea about having something additional on there, so it adds a little bit more like to it. So like, again, some of the abilities that you guys have mentioned is absolutely awesome. There is one monster I remember going across in a campaign that we're currently doing. She brought out this golem, which had these gems attached to it, and I believe these gems were given it like certain abilities, and if we needed the abilities to start, I think we had to remove the gems. And we didn't quite work. We didn't realize this at first, but it's like we sort of worked it out over time. It's like when we did X amount of damage over it, like on this limb, like this gem fell off, and then we never saw that ability again afterwards. Like stuff like that, I thought was quite interesting, because if you had a party that, we were talking about like with wisdom or charisma, they had high charisma, but you knew this ability was going to revolve around like charisma checks, like that's fine, leave that ability, go for the one that's making us all do constitution saving throws or something, because we're all stuck on our constitution or something like that. So I think for me that was one of my favorite. I Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but was this like a homebrew thing, or is this something that actually is on a regular?
I don't know. I think it was something they'd found. They found online that someone else had homebrewed, and then they'd adjusted it further to make it even stronger. And it was painfully strong, and we should not have been fighting it, but we were. So.
Oh, I know.
Somehow.
I mean, again, it did eventually turn into one of those where we were just beating, just to get its health down. But I really like the concept about having these gems on there, and each gem sort of represented something else, and so by removing those gems, you're removing certain abilities and stuff. So I thought it adds a little bit more tactic than just.
It almost felt like if it was like a beholder where you were able to cut off its eyes, something like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit like that. Okay, I think we've gone pretty good on that one. Go on.
I was going to make some comments, because one of the problems, obviously, I have lots to say, and I'm not trying to get you cancelled for once. I mean, if you want to cut off limbs, there's other appendages you could remove, but that wasn't it. What was I going to say now? No, too busy trying to get you cancelled. Oh, that's one of the other problems with combat with D&D. Like the monsters, it's very attack based, so the monsters can get repetitive. And some of the best advice I've seen is that you just try to make your players do more than one thing. So, like, it could be a fight against a bunch of like winged kobolds, which are quite easy, but the floor moves, and underneath is a pit of lava, and the players then have to work out where the floor's going to drop next or disappear next, so they can not be there in that round to take damage from falling into lava, while also trying to kill the flying kobolds, which are a fairly simple enemy, but just difficult enough and immune to the environmental effects that they cause a problem. So you've got to try to think of different ways to engage your players during a combat, and that avoids the issue, which I think we've all encountered. I know I have as well, where I hit it with my axe, great, I do 15 damage, turn. And so like finding ways to interact with the environment or enemies, so you've got different things to do. And one of the best ways to do this is to model it on like computer game boss encounters. So like when you fought a really good boss in a computer game, it's because it's making you think about how to fight it.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I really like the idea about incorporating the environment into it. So like if you wanted to bring like weather into it as well. That can maybe make some disadvantages like onto the rolls and stuff. Like if like it's raining really heavily, so it's impairing the vision slightly, or like the ground. Say like a particular move ends up breaking up part of the ground, so it ends up becoming difficult terrain. But not just that as well. If you could have, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, Crafty, have you heard about lair actions?
About what? Sorry.
Lair actions.
Lair actions? No, I haven't.
Yeah. So it's basically just certain monsters. If they have a set lair, the lair will have adapted to them. Da, 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 da. So just at the start of the round, it can cause the lair action, and that'll be something will happen within the lair. So that might literally be as you were describing. Like maybe it's a certain spot on the ground turns into a pit of lava, or something else happens, or da da da. So it's lair actions are a thing that certain monsters have attributed to them, which are pretty cool.
So this is obviously only if the monster is in its own sort of lair.
It's only specifically if it's in its own lair, but you
Why
can put it
wouldn't
in other areas anyway. Like it's no reason to limit it.
Yeah, and just do whatever feels good. The other thing you can do is just have different types of enemies. Like you can have like lots of goblins, for example. A very simple example is lots of goblins led by a few orcs. So the goblins themselves very easy to remove, but there's a lot of them. So you need to be looking at AoE moves to deal with that. But the orcs are heavy hitters and very tough, especially if you make them barbarians, so they can rage. So you need to your party needs to work together to try to solve the problem of who kills the goblins, who kills the orcs, how we're going to protect our softer party members from the orcs who can one-hit them while not letting the goblins flank them, So you can mix and match your enemies, mix and match resistances. So you can have people who are resistant to like fire magic and people who are resistant to non-magical weapons. So the mages have to go for the people who are not resistant to magic. And it makes the party think about the encounter more. So it doesn't just have to be environment. It can be like how you stack your enemies.
Yeah, definitely. Also the idea about, like you just said, there's having more than one enemy. Even again, I know you just said you got like goblins and orcs, but by having something else, maybe like a central like enemy, you've got like a mini horde, as it were. You got to deal with. That's gonna like whittle the party's abilities down a little bit. Then you got like the main boss. I also like the idea about if this is probably something that would probably evolve around like artificers. Like if I don't know too much about the class, but I wonder if there's a way like you could build traps and stuff. So maybe it's a case like you could try to lure a boss into a certain trap that could help like hold it in place, or something like that. Like really use the environment around you. I really like that idea. I'll tell you I'm glad we do this podcast because it gives me so many ideas to bring forward. You guys wait until the sort of bosses I'm going to throw at you.
Oh, great. This was a mistake.
See, the term boss fight, my BBEG for my current campaign, not actually very tough. She's not massive, but she's got a plethora of options to protect herself with. Because basically when I designed her, I sat down and I was like, right, so I don't know what the party makeup's going to be, but she needs a tool to deal with each of the main classes. And so she's got something that can frustrate or cause difficulty for every player. And it means that the boss fight is never the same between different parties who run through it. And it also means that GMs don't feel like, because she's primarily a caster, they don't feel like as soon as the barbarian corners her, she's just going to get chopped up like kindling.
No, I like that. So so again, you're adding more layers to the situation. Again, giving party opportunities to really think about like what they're getting into. I really like that. But we've gone nearly an hour into the stream, so we'll cover this topic just a little bit more, and then we'll go into the quiz. I'm quite interested, guys. Is there any particular monster that you have not ever come across, but you would like? Either you would love to have an opportunity to fight it in some future campaign, or one that you would absolutely dread like coming across.
I really want to throw a Tarrasque at people.
Oh, yes.
A Tarrasque.
Some people say it's the strongest monster in D&D.
Someone explain to me what Jsan.
I'm gonna pull up the stats for it real quick. If I can spell fell out.
I literally Google all of these things all the time.
Yeah,
it's a really good tip. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. And it makes you see.
All right, Trask. It has
It's
a challenge
286
rating.
on the monster manual.
All right, Crafty, are you ready?
Oh yeah.
It's a challenge rating of 30.
Wait, which book are you looking in? Where are you getting? Is it
Google.
30? Oh yeah, it is
Yeah,
30.
yeah.
challenge, yeah.
Well done,
Yeah.
Jason. Yeah.
Yep.
Google, cool.
676 hit points.
How much?
676.
676 hit points. Armor
Um,
class 25.
And that's 676 if you take the advised one. It's actually, if you want to roll it, is 33d20 plus 330.
Whoa. Okay.
What's that?
Immunities,
What's that
fire,
maximum of?
poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks.
Holy smokes.
Wait. Let me see what the its bite is 4d12 plus 10 piercing damage plus 19 to hit. Oh, and it has multi-attack.
Of course
This
it does.
is- It's basically the super evolved Godzilla creature that's meant to
Tell
be
him-
able to take on
Tell him
everything.
the swallow. Tell him the swallow attack.
Oh, okay. Trask makes one bite attack against a large or smaller creature it is grappling. If the attack hits, the target takes the bite's damage, the target is swallowed, and the grapple ends. While swallowed, the creature is blinded and restrained. It has total cover against attacks and other effects outside the Trask, and it takes, oh dang, 16 d6 acid damage at the start of each of the Trask's turns.
Wow. Okay.
But on the upside, if the Trask takes 60 damage or more on a single turn from a creature inside it, it has to succeed in a DC 20 con saving throw or regurgitate all swallowed creatures.
Bear in mind, it has plus 10 to Constitution.
Yeah, like DC 20 sounds great, but
Except
also,
I-
what I really enjoy, the best rule I think, is that it's a siege monster, so deals double damage to objects and structures.
Wow.
It is a gargantuan monstrosity.
Wow. And
Yeah, this-
how do you spell this again?
TARRASQUE.
I've
Chad
put
has
a
just
link
posted
in.
a link.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it swim?
Because I just use Google.
Does it swim? Oh
Oh.
god.
I don't know.
It
I
doesn't.
don't know.
It doesn't have a swimming speed.
But it is huge.
Hmm.
Like,
What is its speed? Its speed is 40. It is huge. It is gargantuan. So
Gargantuan.
you'd have to
Yes.
have a lot of water to drown one.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
feasibly, because it has a reptilian
Oh.
tail, it could swim
I mean,
quite
yeah,
effectively.
anything can
makes
swim,
5
but it would
attacks.
be moving. It would be moving at half speed.
Did you just say
Yeah,
it
I
makes
just
5
realized you-
attacks?
Yeah, one with its bite, two with its claws, one with its horns, and one with its tail.
Wow.
Also, it has legendary resistance 3 times a day. If Trask fails a saving throw, it can choose to succeed instead.
I didn't see this. Firstly, magic resistance advantage on saving throws, against spells, but reflected carapace. Anytime the Trask is targeted by a magic missile spell, a line spell, or a spell that requires a ranged attack, roll a d6. On a 1 to 5, the Trask is unaffected. On a 6, the Trask is unaffected, and the effect is reflected back at the caster as though it originated from the Trask, turning the caster into the target.
Okay. All right.
And that's one of the few things in the game where you cannot magic missile it.
Okay.
So people who don't know about it are going to be like, I magic missile at level 10, and
Watch
then the
Jen,
caster dies.
watch Ari be like, I magic missile because it's the only damaging spell I took. Oops.
I mean,
I tell you now, someone in this group needs to make a campaign where that thing is going to be the big bad, because that does sound, it sounds awesome and
No.
terrifying at the same time.
I wouldn't
It's-
even make it the big bad. I'd make it the big bad's under.
yeah, like the big
control
bad
bit.
goes, well, I guess I'll feed you to my pet. And they were like, haha, whatever, Cerberus. And then this thing
Harass.
just burrows out of the ground and eats one of them.
I think we've just made Crafty's day. He's like, all right, who am I going to put this up against now?
And honestly, there is no reason why you can't adapt it to different environments. So you could make like an Arctic Tarrasque or an oceanic Tarrasque.
You could
because-
turn it into a water Tarrasque. You could do it.
Yeah,
Like,
you just give it a
give it
swim. You
swim
literally
speed.
give it a swim speed.
We're going to be reading my book tonight. Yeah,
Oh,
just
no.
read up about this bad boy. You see a bit more about it.
Watch it just
Episode, How I
completely
TPK'd my party with a
Crafty, it is challenge rating 30. Give us at least a minute before you kill us.
But hey, if we kill it, we get 155,000 XP. So I mean, hey.
Except
maybe it's
Crafty.
worth it.
Crafty, are you using XP in this campaign, or are you?
No,
I'm not.
He's using milestone.
This better be a milestone.
Yeah, one sec. I'm trying to remember what the level is for
That
each
would
name.
take an adventurer from level 1 straight up to level 6, I think.
Total XP needed. So to get to level 20, you need a total of from 0 to 20 is 355,000 XP.
Whoa.
So this would actually get you more to like level 12.
I mean, no, but it gets bigger at certain levels. So if you beat this thing at level 0, you would immediately become level 1. You immediately become level 14, almost level 15. If you beat this at level 16, you immediately become 20. Ish. I think you're maybe like 5k out. But yeah, this is not a monster to be taken lightly.
Just quick side note, real quick. Just so I'm quite curious. I don't know if you guys know. So you can go up to level 20. Is there any scope to increase levels on characters, or is like 20 like that's it? Like, there's nothing else you can improve?
There are fancy feats that they give you after 20.
Yeah, like legendary feats.
Yeah, legendary feats and stuff.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right, cool.
But there's no reason you couldn't homebrew like
Yeah.
level adaptations beyond that, because you can use the previous table as a model. It's a very algorithmic system. It's all
At the
math.
very least, you can up your hit points.
Yeah, you could say up hit points, or you can increase spell slots, or you can give feats. Like, there's plenty you could do. There's plenty you could do, but there's no rules.
Yeah, I
for it.
figured definitely with like homebrew wise, you could definitely obviously change it up. I was just wondering, like with like official rules, is like it's 20 the max, and then but is there anything they'll add on?
Just the
extra?
legendary feats after
Just
20.
the feats. Okay,
Yeah.
it was good to know. Well, thank you, Jsan, for that. That is an absolutely terrifying thing to come across. That would, I can imagine, gives small players nightmares. Chadstick, is there any particular monster you have yet to come across that you would either love or dread to face one day?
I would really like to come across a dragon.
Oh, that's funny, given the name.
I've actually thought about this. I've actually come across a dragon, but we only got to fight it. So at the end of, I'm not going to name it because it's an official supplement. I don't want to spoilers. But at the end of one of the official supplements, you come across a dragon who's not looking like a dragon. They're looking like something else. And you're there basically to steal the dragon's favorite treasure, but you don't know that it's a dragon. And you don't know that you're stealing a dragon's favourite treasure. I certainly didn't, as my level 5 fighter.
Oh, God.
And so I was talking to this NPC, and they're like, so why should you have it? What? And this NPC, level 5 fighter, not very bright, not very charismatic, but I was famous in the party for attempting to talk my way out of things, because I'd just be like, I'm going to try it. You know, I'll explain it to them in small words and see what happens. And it got us into a lot of trouble. And then I just basically went up to the dragon and said, look, we're going to take it back to where it needs to be. We're going to treat it respectfully. And we're getting paid to bring it back, but we're not going to sell it. So it's going to be where it belongs. And then I rolled a natural 20. And so the NPC agreed with me, gave us the thing, and that was the end of the campaign. And we were all a bit like, oh, that was anticlimactic. And then the GM, bless him, he did really well because it was his first time GMing. He went, well, actually, you should have fought a dragon. So we did fight the dragon at the end, and it was quite fun, but then we ran out of time, so we didn't finish fighting the dragon and killing it. So I'd love to fight, like, a dragon, out and out, go dragon hunting, like, and pick a fight with one in its lair, and do that. I'd love to.
Any particular type? Because I know, obviously, there are many. Would you?
I mean, I fought, the one I fought was a young green dragon, so I don't even know what that did. Any dragon. Give me an elder dragon. I want one of the big ones.
That is true. Given the name of it, is one thing. It does seem to always escape my mind when thinking of monsters. Like, what should I have the party go up against? Just the name is literally looking me in the face. But no, I think fighting a dragon would be something quite nice. But I feel like I would definitely have to make sure, like it would make sense to be in like the campaign. You know what I mean? So like. what was it? There's that new one, Spelljammer. So it's all very. I know very little about it, but I understand obviously it's supposed to be out in space and stuff. I can't imagine you'd be coming across a dragon in that one, would you?
There are actual astral dragons.
Oh, astral
I believe
dragons.
that-
Oh, okay. Well, I
that were-
stand
that were
corrected.
in the book, but I think so. I could be hearing something on my remembering. I'm almost certain there were dragons in that book.
It would be, honestly though. It would be. I would quite love that to go up against like a ancient red dragon. I think isn't that supposed to be like the most powerful? Or is it I think is it Tiamat is the most powerful dragon. Tiamat or Bahamut.
Tiamat's like the goddess of dragons or whatever.
Yeah.
Pete, well,
you fought Tiamat, Crafty.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I do remember that one. But at the time, I didn't realize that was a dragon. I thought that was a Hydra because like five heads. That's because at the time I knew such little about Dungeons and Dragons
campaign.
Yeah. Then when I joined this one-off session to go and fight Tiamat, I had no reference to what that was. I just saw the 5 heads and I was like, oh, it's a Hydra.
The only TPK I've ever been a part of was to a Hydra.
Oh, really?
Hydras are mean.
That's why you take the slow spell.
It helps you when the DM doesn't tell you, hey, create a level 3 character. Okay, I'm going to put you up against a challenge rating 12 monster.
As a level... How many of you were there?
4.
Jesus Christ, that's bullying.
No, that's on the edge of the acceptable level. So it's not bullying, it's metagaming as a GM to hate your friends.
Pete, how about yourself, sir? Have you got a monster in mind?
I know, like, I'm probably going to be very soon, well, soonish, but I'm actually super hyped to fight a Kraken.
Yes.
I'm super... Part of me, I don't know whether I want to do it, like, ship versus Kraken, but I also love the idea of, especially as since I'm playing a Genasi in your campaign, of, like, fighting a Kraken in its own element. I think that would just be a really cool kind of vibe of just, like, we're underwater, like, some of us aren't in our element, but this Kraken is. This is going to be a tough fight. But also the fact that would give us, like, movement in, like, all directions. I think that would be a really cool fight. Like, underwater, we can all fly kind of vibe of, like, I think that would be a very fun kind of battle to deal with. And I think I've been trying to avoid looking up... I'm not trying. I've avoided looking up the Kraken specifically because you've laid hints that there will be one in your campaign at some point.
Okay.
But I remember that, like, it was cool and it could do a lot of stuff. So I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for Kraken slaying.
That is,
I'm glad you pointed that out, Peter, that it might be in Grafty's campaign because it stopped me looking it up immediately.
Yeah. We had hints very early on that Krakens might be a problem that we have to deal with eventually.
Cool. Well, I've used Krakens quite regularly because I love the Great Age of Sail. I love naval stuff. Cannons are fantastic, and they're on ships. And lots of people really like that vibe, so including it in your campaign almost seems natural. So basically, every campaign I've run, there's been a pirate ship that might have been threatened by a Kraken, and in most cases, attacked by one. So I've always done the Kraken versus ship encounter, where the Kraken's not really fighting the party; it's fighting the ship, and the party have to desperately hack at the Kraken and try to make it leave. Because what I do with my Titanic monsters is they don't kill it; they just do enough damage that it will leave. Because there's not really much a party can do to stop something that big just upping and going.
Yeah.
Like dragons can fly, Krakens swim off very quickly. And it makes more sense for an animal to leave when it feels too threatened, because it just doesn't want to die. It's not a fight to the death thing. But it provides a lot of environmental stuff. And every time I've done it, one of the party members has decided to jump, or usually a ranger or a druid has decided to jump off to fight the Kraken in its element. That's not gone well for them.
I can only imagine. But yeah, Kraken, 100% Kraken. Either controlling the Kraken or going up against it. Yeah, 100. I cannot wait for an experience like that to take part. But I would say for me, and it's only because I watched Stranger Things. I would very much like to try be in a campaign where Vecna was the big bad. I really don't know much. All I've ever gone by is what's on there. I haven't really gone out my way to look it up, but seems like a bit of a scary villain. And I think that'd be pretty cool to go up against something like him.
I think Vecna only recently got a character sheet for 5e.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was an ancient. I don't know if he had a character sheet for an earlier edition, but obviously you had the Eye of Vecna and the Hand of Vecna. But he never had a character sheet himself.
He was a character in the lore, but he didn't. I don't think you ever fought him.
Oh, okay. So this is something that because of the show that has ended up being brought. So it's sort of been brought.
I don't know. I'm trying to think when it was and whether the show came out before or after the show with him. The season with him came out before or after. But yeah, no, it's So he's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can remember.
Right. Well, guys, thank you all very much. We're going to wrap up now the topic of monsters, and we're going to wrap up the whole podcast. We're going into our D&D quiz, Mastering the Dungeon, which I misnamed last week.
What did you call it last week?
I call it Contesting Dragons.
Yeah. Could be worse.
You know what? It was the first time that I had attempted live streaming this whole thing, so my mind was so foggy at the time that I was amazed I was even able to speak. So we've got our buzzers. Chad, it says you're disconnected. If you could just refresh your one, bud. Blank disconnected. Who is blank?
Probably me.
Oh, I don't know, because I got you here, Chaddy Mandius, and then there's also someone else there called Blank. I don't know who that is. I'm wondering if, because I posted it on our Discord group, so it could be that there is a fourth player watching or taking part.
Oh,
it could be fun. So, how this one is going to play out, gentlemen, there are no questions. However, as with the theme of today's podcast, they are pages taken from the Monster Manual. And there's going to be some paragraphs regarding a type of monster. Now, maybe it might be a case of it's talking about abilities. It might be talking maybe a bit about background or lair, as Pete had mentioned. I'm going to try to make sure I catch myself and don't say the name of the monster in that paragraph. And it's going to be the case.
When this dragon is in this area.
It'll be the case.
It's a dragon.
First person who buzzes in. Have a guess as to what the monster is. If you're correct, you get a point. And we'll go through them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 11 here. So we got 11 monsters to go through. So, are we all ready?
Before we begin.
Yes.
Do we lose points for incorrect answers?
You will not lose points for incorrect answers.
Brilliant.
Obviously, I don't expect you guys to be experts at this sort of thing. So if you mispronounce it or something, depends on what you come through, determine whether you'll get that point. If you're very close to it, so just say hypothetically, I'd talk about a type of giant. If you know I'm talking about a giant, but you can't, you're close to what type of giant it is, sort of thing, I might give you the point because you're on the right page. You just might not have it exact. We'll see how it goes.
It depends on who he likes the most.
Right, guys, here we go. So, first monster. This particular monster resembles an enormous many-legged insect. Go for Jsan.
An Ankeg?
That is correct.
Yeah!
Wow.
God damn, I was
first line of text. Damn, nicely done.
Woo!
Of course, anyone viewing, if you want to take part, you can drop your guess as to what you think this particular monster is that I am describing. And audiences can get 2 points for each correct answer. So you guys have got your work cut out for you. Not only are you going to beat each other, you're going to beat the audience.
Oh no.
Right. Next monster. This monster is a reptilian horror with a crocodilian body and multiple heads on long serpentine necks. Go for Jsan.
Hydra?
That is correct.
Fuck,
Yes.
damn.
Yeah, Jsan's coming in hot today. Let's clear those buzzers.
Somehow.
Right. When a paladin that falls from grace dies without seeking atonement, dark powers can transform the once mortal knight into a hateful undead creature. This particular monster is a skeletal warrior clad in fearsome... Go for Chad.
Is it? Oh, the Death Knight.
It is a Death Knight.
Oh, sweet.
That one got me. I was like, I feel like I can see the picture in my head, but I've got no idea what it is.
There's a few other names that it could have been, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with Death Knight.
Right. Next one. This monster is a cat-sized dragon with butterfly wings. Go for Jsan.
Fairy dragon.
That is correct. All right, let's clear those buzzers. And next monster. Monstrous, fire-breathing fiends that take the forms of powerful dogs. Go for Chad.
Hellhounds.
That is correct.
Not my day, is it?
I'm afraid not, sir.
I've been second guessing myself this entire time.
I've gone for two, and I've been like, these sound like really generic things.
This
so
is it. I'm like, this
probably
seems
wrong.
so obvious, but also like, is it?
I've just given up. I've got to catch up somehow. We don't lose points for wrong answers.
Yeah, valid. I'll give you
Right,
that.
there are 6 left to go. This monster, or these monsters, are devious shapeshifters that take on the appearance of other humanoids. Go for Peter.
Changeling?
That is incorrect. Chad?
Ooh, okay.
Doppelganger.
That is correct.
Nice.
Okay, good, because I was going to go
Didn't
with
I-
Changeling.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. Because I know Changeling is a player race, but I wasn't sure that
Yeah.
does that. But I didn't know there was a monstrous race that did that.
I mean, I guess a mimic could also be it, too.
Can they take human shapes?
They
Oh,
can't.
actually,
Mimics
I
can only
don't
do
know.
objects, but doppelgangers are. Yeah, they hate they're non-mammalian. I think I've only encountered them in Baldur's Gate, but they basically hate everything that's been successful on the surface.
Okay, cool.
Right,
They're
next
clear.
monster. These monsters, are the severed hands of murderers. Go for Jsan.
Crawler? I know that's not the name of it.
I've got no idea for this one.
Go for Chad.
Grabblers or scrabbling claws.
Afraid neither of you have got that. Pete, do you want to take a stab?
I've no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Okay,
Skitter
I'm
it.
going to clear the buzzer and give you guys another chance at this one because Chad and Jsan are close. So I will carry on reading. Hands of murderers, animated by dark magic so they can go on killing. Wizards and warlocks of a dark bent use these monsters as extra hands in their labours. Anyone want to take one more guess? Go for Jsan.
Laborer?
That is incorrect.
Ah.
I think the problem is we know what it is, but we don't know what
Yeah,
it's
but
called.
we can't think of the name. It's Thing from the Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah. From the Addams Family. Come on.
From the Addams Family.
Jesus
Honestly,
ate Christ.
I haven't seen Wednesday.
Hey, it's the Thing from Fortnite. Come on.
There's a magic card based on this, and it's literally called Scrabbling Claws, which is why I named it. I hoped, but it's not.
What is it called, Crafty? Tell us.
Hang
So-
on.
Go on.
Is it? Are they?
Anyone watching
Are they dark
in the
hands?
chat?
Oh, hang on. Dark hands or black hands?
That is incorrect.
No, okay.
Anybody in the chat wants to take a stab at this? If not, I shall reveal in 5 seconds.
All the good ones that I knew were at the start, and I was too slow, and now we're on to these ones.
We got them wrong anyway, Pete. Don't worry.
He's gonna say it. We're gonna be like, no, I should have known that.
I should have known.
The monster is a crawling claw.
Oh,
You
the
were so
combination.
close, Chad. You were so close.
Jsan was not too far off with crawlers.
Yeah, if we just put our forces together.
Oh, dang it.
You fools. I didn't know the name of that one. Absolutely no chance.
So, the next one. I do apologise for the noise. That is my dog who has woken up from his nap. Hi, buddy. You can say hello to the viewers? No? Okay. So, one glance from this monster. Go ahead for Chad.
Basilisk.
That is incorrect. Peter?
Gorgon?
That is incorrect. Jsan?
Ooh.
Medusa?
That is incorrect.
I got it.
Go for Chad.
Cockatrice.
That is incorrect.
Oh, blast.
Just keep reading.
It
Right.
might not even be like turned to stone. It's going to be like frightens, and we're going to be here guessing like paralysis the entire time.
Okay, so one
Well, you know, Harry Potter theme from earlier. I thought I was going to be able to make a joke, but no such luck.
Nope.
one glance at this monster is enough to assess its foul and otherworldly nature. Aggressive, hate. Go for Chad.
Is it a star spawn?
It is not.
Oh.
A monster's. Go for Jsan.
Is it a unicorn?
It is not.
Didn't know unicorns were aggressive.
Yeah, it's otherwise
yeah,
aggressive nature. The unicorn.
No, that's wait for Pete.
They
Pete
will
gets
kebab
triumph.
you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, man.
Pete,
The
you get next stab at this one. So this monster's body levitates at all times, and its great bulging eye sits above a wide 2 feet
Oh.
jaw.
Beholder.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was thinking beholder. Dead gummit. Why did I go with thinking unicorn?
Unicorn.
No one knows. Jason.
Yeah,
No one knows.
just sitting there like, is this a unicorn or a beholder? Looks dead at it like it's got many eyes, but is that an eye at the front or a horn?
I
can't
cannot
tell.
wait. I cannot wait to come across a beholder in one of my campaigns and be like, "That's a unicorn."
Rolls a low perception check. Definitely unicorn.
No, I'll just say it's a unicorn. Doesn't matter if any of you guys are there. It's going to be a unicorn.
Your friends are gonna hit. Oh, I wanna talk to the unicorn. It kills you with its death ray. What?
Next monster. These monsters are among the most fearsome creatures of the oceans. As large and... Go ahead for Jsan.
Marrow?
That is incorrect. As large and... Go for Peter.
Dragon turtle?
That is correct.
Yeah, it was going to be, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was making like many judgments based off of what you spoke about earlier. I was like, Crafty definitely knows this exists. Yeah, right, let's go for it.
It was Dragon Turtle or Kraken. And
Yeah, that was it. I was like, it's one of those.
Okay, here we go. Beneath the waves, this monster sleep. Go for Chad.
Kraken.
That is correct.
I was like,
You
no,
gotta be kidding me.
no.
I just delayed my coin toss.
All right, last monster.
Crafty, how mad were you when he was like, it's either that or Kraken, and then the next one was Kraken.
Yeah, I was just like, ah, well, they're gonna get it somehow. Right.
You should have switched this one and the last one around.
This is the last monster. This one, I'm not reading any paragraphs. However, I'm going to read what its moves are. So
Oh no, I thought you were going to imitate its mating call.
So let's go.
Yeah,
We're gonna go through some stats. So it has an armor class of 22, hit points as it stands, are 546 with a speed of 40, a climb of 40, and a fly of 80.
Well, we know it's not a Tarrasque.
No. Well, flying speed, that's something.
What's the fly speed?
Fly
80.
speed is 80. Go for Jsan.
Is it a red dragon?
It is a red dragon.
I think he gets it off that.
So,
I had a poor run today.
What up?
the final points as they stand, Peter with 2 points, and we have another tie, Jsan and Chad with 4.
You're kidding!
So,
You just buzzed.
this time, I wrote down a tiebreaker question in advance.
Can I be
Sorry,
a dick and go for the tiebreaker as well?
I'm afraid not, buddy.
God damn it.
So, to be the master of today's dungeon, this I got this from the Player's Handbook, and we're going to read this out. And obviously, first buzz, if you want to wait until the question's fully read out, because we have had that problem before, or if you want to buzz in and give us your answer, you go for it. But if you're wrong, you will not get to answer again.
Is it Hydra?
Is
I
it?
didn't buzz.
No.
I didn't buzz. You gave us free information.
That's
you
true.
fool.
That's true. Right. You are making an argument under pressure. What type of ability would you need to make the necessary check persuasion?
What am I doing?
Go for Jsan.
Charisma.
That is correct.
I was waiting for something about a monster.
So was I. I was so confused. I thought you were going to be like,
Player's Handbook.
Yeah, it could be a monster from the Player's Handbook.
there are monsters in the Player's Handbook, aren't there? Oh wait, are there?
I
can't
have no
remember.
idea.
I don't think there are.
I don't own one.
So our master of today's dungeon is Jsan Pizza Man. Take a bow, sir.
Reigning and defend- This is my second time in a row.
Well
What
done.
a bitch.
Did you win last
What a
week's one?
bitch.
Nicely done. Well, I have to get like a little. I think I'll add something on here for next time where I've got
A table.
Yeah, a little table that shows how many players have won. Been master.
I think
of the
I've
dungeon.
won.
You've won one.
Have I won?
I think.
Have I won one?
I think.
I thought I won twice.
We'll have to.
I think
I'll have
I
to
won-
review them. I have to review
I
through.
thought I
and see
won
which
one where it wasn't saved, and then I won the next one as well. The first time it was saved.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Well, I'm not sure if I'll count that.
What?
I've lost 3 tiebreakers.
Oh, no, Chad, that's so sad.
And this time, because I was misled by the feed of a quizmaster who was like, this week's is on about monsters. Your tiebreaker is on ability checks.
I do apologise, but I like throwing a curveball now and then.
What a bitch.
And on that,
I can't wait to min-max in your campaign.
and on that, I would like to wrap this all up and thank Jsan, Chadstick, and Peter for taking part in today's podcast of Roll for Discussion. Jsan, farewell, buddy. Thank you very much for coming.
No problem. I'm going to go do a show tonight and be a British clown again.
You do that, mate. Chadstick, thank you very much for joining, and thank you also for not getting me cancelled.
Well, that's fine. And if you need any inspiration for that British clown role, you've got Crafty right here.
And finally,
Need
thank
to
you.
leave that video.
Yes, yeah, drop a link down for that. Peter, good night, buddy. Thank you very much for joining.
You know, thanks for having me. I'll up my game next time. Don't you worry.
To the viewers watching, thank you all very much for popping in. Those who have been sticking around for a while, thank you all very much commenting. If you really liked what you saw here, please hit that like button, maybe even hit the subscribe, share it with your friends, leave a comment down below. We will either be back here next week or the weekend after, so stay tuned, watch the channel for updates. Until then, thank you everybody,